At the start of the movie, we meet a young woman named Zoe, who's on her way to meet her fiancé. Before she leaves, her mom hands her the keys to a car so she can get there more easily. As Zoe is about to head out, her mom warns her to be careful and gives her a warm goodbye, smiling. Zoe reassures her, "Don't worry about me, Mom. I'll be fine and I'll get there safely." Zoe is genuinely happy and excited to see her fiancé. Since she loves taking selfies, Zoe snaps one during the drive and sends it to her fiancé, letting him know how far she's gotten. As she continues down the road, Zoe notices an old man selling handmade crafts on the roadside. Curious, she stops for a moment to take a look, then drives off again. While on the road, she gets distracted by her phone, taking her eyes off the street for just a second. Suddenly, an injured man appears out of nowhere in front of her car. Zoe slams the brakes hard, barely missing him. Shaken, she peers outside and sees the man collapsed on the ground. Then, her eyes widen. Just up ahead, a gang of men is chasing another man relentlessly. Within seconds, their speeding car slams into him, killing him instantly. That's when the gang spots Zoe. Zoe quickly rushes out of her car to help the injured man she nearly hit. She lifts him up and puts him inside her car, ready to drive him to safety. But before she can, the gang arrives. They surround Zoe, mocking and taunting her cruelly. Right before her eyes, they butcher the injured man without mercy. Terrified, Zoe tries to run, but Trey, the gang's leader, pulls out a gun and fires. The bullet tears into her leg and she collapses in pain. The gang grabs her, drags her to their hideout, ties her to a bed, and begins torturing her brutally. Zoe screams in agony as they inflict unimaginable pain. Meanwhile, Zoe's fiancé grows increasingly anxious. Hours pass and she still hasn't come home. Desperate, he checks the last selfie she sent and notices a road sign in the background. Using that clue, he figures out Zoe's last known location and immediately calls the police, begging them to start searching for her. Back at the gang's hideout, Trey continues his sadistic torture. During one of his twisted rants, he reveals a horrifying secret. His grandfather massacred an entire Native American tribe decades ago. Trey shows Zoe a hidden stash of ancient skulls and bones, holding up one of them and saying, This belonged to the tribe's chief, a commander. My grandfather killed him himself." Horrified, Zoe realizes he's not lying. Soon after, the gang starts drinking and partying. One of Trey's close friends suggests they kill Zoe immediately, but Trey snaps, shouting, "No, I want her to suffer before she dies." The gang starts gambling, betting Zoe's life over a deck of cards. Unfortunately, Trey loses the bet, and the winner steps forward with a knife, ready to kill her. Despite her unbearable pain, Zoe somehow manages to free herself from the ropes. Barely able to stand, she tries to escape, but the gang member spots her, grabs her, and stabs her multiple times, leaving her to bleed out on the floor. Just then, the same old man Zoe met earlier, the one selling handmade crafts, happens to pass by with his dog. Horrified, he rushes to her, carries her to his secluded shelter, and prepares a special herbal remedy using ancient tribal knowledge. He treats her wounds and begins chanting over her body. It's then revealed that the old man is the last surviving member of the very tribe Trey's grandfather wiped out. Determined to restore balance and justice, he begins a mystical ritual to bring Zoe back to life. As he chants ancient spells, Zoe's body levitates off the ground. Her chest heaves, her breathing returns, and then, suddenly, her eyes snap open. They are completely black. A powerful spirit has possessed her. But instead of thanking him, Zoe viciously attacks the old man. Using his own spiritual powers, he manages to overpower her and knocks her unconscious. Meanwhile, Zoe's fiancé finally reaches town and checks into a nearby hotel. Later, Zoe wakes up in an unfamiliar part of the city. Disoriented, she spots a public payphone and calls her fiancé, telling him she's alive and safe. Overwhelmed, he immediately traces the call's location and rushes to meet her. While waiting, Zoe notices a police officer nearby and approaches him for help. But as she gets closer, she realizes he's not a real cop. He's one of Trey's men. Suspicious, she follows him into a nightclub where he tries to hide. When he turns and sees her, his face goes pale. Zoe's black eyes have returned. The spirit inside her is fully awake again. In a violent frenzy, she stabs him deep in the gut, ripping his intestines out and killing him instantly. Another gang member fires at her, but Zoe moves like lightning, grabs a chair, and smashes it into his face, knocking him unconscious. Meanwhile, Zoe's fiancé arrives at the payphone's location, only to find the police already there. Frantic, he asks them if they've seen Zoe. One officer replies, "There's been a murder here, and the girl you're looking for isn't around." Shocked, he explains she called him from this exact spot less than an hour ago. The officer assures him, "We'll look into it."
No, Trey, no!
Just then, Trey and his gang show up. Seeing his friend's lifeless body nearby, Trey explodes with rage. While trying to figure out who killed him, Zoe's fiancé approaches, showing them her photo and asking if they've seen her. The gang warns him to leave immediately, but when he mentions Zoe called from there an hour ago, they freeze in shock. Enraged, Trey tries to attack him, but the police step in, forcing both sides to back off. Later that night, Zoe wakes up again, this time inside an old, dimly lit shed. A creaking door opens on its own, leading her into a small room filled with weapons and hunting tools. Quietly, she grabs a bow and arrows and steps outside into the darkness. Meanwhile, Trey's gang returns to the place where they buried Zoe's body, only to discover that her corpse is gone. Panic spreads among them. One member, the same man who stabbed her earlier, insists, "No way she survived, some wild animal must have dragged her away." But Trey doesn't believe it. Deep down, he senses something far more terrifying is happening. Fearing both Zoe and the police, the gang packs their belongings to flee town. Just as one member steps outside, he notices something chilling, arrows lodged into his car. Trembling, he records a voice message to Trey, whispering in fear, "I think she's here. That girl. She's watching us." Suddenly, Zoe emerges from the shadows, her black eyes glowing faintly. Without hesitation, she fires a rapid volley of arrows. Each one hits its mark, piercing the man's chest and shoulders until he finally collapses to the ground, lifeless. After this, when Trey hears his friend's frantic voicemail, panic surges through him. Without wasting a second, he rushes to the location, but when he gets there, his heart sinks. Someone has brutally murdered his friend. Meanwhile, Zoe starts noticing something horrifying. Her own body is decaying. Her wounds are crawling with worms. Terrified and desperate, she stumbles toward an old man nearby and pleads with him for help. The old man, speaking in a deep, unsettling voice, says, "When I found you, Zoe, you were already dead. I personally dug your body out of the grave. Then I performed an ancient ritual and brought your soul back. But during the ritual, another soul entered your body along with yours." Zoe stares at him, trembling. The old man continues, his voice growing darker. "The other soul belongs to the war chief of an ancient tribe, a warrior seeking vengeance for the betrayal that wiped out his entire clan." He pauses, then adds gravely, "The family responsible for that massacre is Trey's family. That means you and the war chief's spirit share the same enemy." Finally, the old man warns her, "Your body is rotting, Zoe. We don't have much time. We have to act now, or it'll be too late." Across town, Trey is cooking up a dangerous plan. He decides to kidnap Zoe's fiancé, believing that if they hold him hostage, Zoe won't dare come after them. Meanwhile, Zoe's fiancé is drowning in grief, devastated over losing the love of his life. Tears stream down his face, but his sorrow is violently interrupted when Trey and his gang storm in. They beat him mercilessly, drag him outside, shove him into their car, and drive off. But fate had other plans. Suddenly, Zoe appears in the middle of the road, her decaying form illuminated under the headlights. Before anyone can react, she fires an arrow that pierces straight through Trey's friend's neck, blood spraying everywhere. Trey and his remaining friend are frozen in shock, unable to believe Zoe is alive. Panic kicks in and they floor the gas, but Zoe leaps onto the roof of the speeding car. A vicious, blood-soaked fight erupts on top of the moving vehicle. Trey's friend stabs Zoe over and over, but to his horror, the knife has no effect. Just as Zoe raises her weapon to finish him, Trey slams the brakes. The sudden jolt sends Zoe flying off the car. Without hesitation, Trey runs her over again and again, crushing her beneath the wheels. But Zoe still doesn't die. Terrified beyond reason, Trey speeds away, dragging Zoe's fiancé to a hidden location where he ties him up. Meanwhile, Trey's injured friend, the one with the arrow lodged in his neck, is writhing in agony. Gasping for air, he whispers, "Trey, when I looked into Zoe's eyes, they were pitch black. It felt like someone else was inside her, another soul." Trey stiffens, realization dawning. He mutters, "I know an old man who lives near where we buried Zoe. Maybe he performed some ritual. Maybe he's the reason she came back, with something else inside her." What Trey doesn't know is that the old man belongs to the same ancient tribe as the war chief's spirit haunting Zoe. Realizing this isn't a normal fight, Trey starts preparing for war. He hires mercenaries, stockpiles weapons, and swears to himself, "This ends tonight." Elsewhere, Zoe is in her dimly lit hideout, wrapping her decaying body tightly with tape. Her breathing is ragged. Her eyes burn with both sorrow and rage. Suddenly, the spirit of the tribal war chief appears before her, placing two deadly ancient weapons into her trembling hands. That night, Trey's wounded friend, desperate to survive, steals a car and speeds toward the hospital. But before he can get far, Zoe appears in the middle of the road. She hurls a razor-sharp spear straight into his windshield. The car spins out of control, flips violently, and crashes in a mangled wreck. Another one of Trey's friends dies instantly. Meanwhile, Zoe finally finds her fiancé. The moment he sees her, he collapses in tears, clutching her decaying hands and begging, "Stay with me, Zoe, please, don't leave me again." But Zoe's burning desire for vengeance drowns out everything else. Without saying a word, she turns and walks away into the shadows. Trey, desperate and shaken, confronts the old man, demanding, "Tell me, how did Zoe come back to life?" The old man finally reveals the grim truth. The war chief's spirit is inside Zoe now, and it won't rest until your entire bloodline is wiped out. Trey, panicking, asks if there's any way to stop it. The old man replies, "There's only one way. You must burn the skull of the tribe's leader. Only then will his spirit leave Zoe's body." While Trey scrambles to find the skull, the police rescue Zoe's fiancé and take him in for questioning. At the same time, Zoe reaches Trey's house, only to find that Trey's brother has committed suicide. Suddenly, the war chief's spirit possesses Zoe, and in a fit of primal rage, she murders Trey's mother, then vanishes. Later, Trey gathers all the ancient skulls he could find, piling them together in one place, hoping to destroy the right one. But then he freezes. The leader's skull is missing. Suddenly, Zoe steps out of the shadows, holding the skull in her hand. Enraged, Trey grabs a chainsaw and charges at Zoe. A vicious, blood-drenched battle erupts. The sound of steel, screams, and splintering bone fills the night. Zoe slices Trey's arm clean off, but Trey, roaring in agony, drives the chainsaw deep into her torso. Even so, Zoe refuses to fall. Fueled by vengeance, she delivers a final brutal strike, decapitating Trey in one clean motion. At last, Zoe and the war chief's spirit have completed their revenge. Moments later, Zoe's fiancé arrives at the graveyard, summoned there by the old man. His breath catches as he sees Zoe's half-burned, rotting body lying motionless on the ground. Kneeling beside her, tears streaming down his face, he whispers, "I love you so much, Zoe." With trembling hands and a shattered heart, he sets her body on fire, finally freeing her from her endless torment. But the fiancé still doesn't know the full truth, until the old man explains everything. The ritual, the spirit, the vengeance, and the dark past that started it all. And that is where the movie ends.